The crowd began to dancing to the wild music. It must have been a crowd of 300 people. You could hear their blood pulsating and their shrill voices laughing. Realized a split second later that the towering pine was falling in front of the speeding motorcycle. "Jake, look out!" she screamed. Jake's body went rigid in alarm and the giant tree crashed to the ground. All of a sudden, the car came to a jarring stop, throwing Lori and Jake forward. Lori screamed as Matt's brakes screeched loudly from behind. The Jeep slid to a stop less than 2 feet behind her. Matt stuck his head out of the window and yelled angrily, "Hey, what's the deal, Lori?" Everything was dark, total darkness. Thick, dark branches covered the windshield of her car. The tree was back in the road. Jake scrambled out of the car and gawked at the giant wall of pine before them. "Oh my God, someone pulled it back across the road." He turned around. A rumbling filled the air and the ground seemed to vibrate. A pair of blinding lights filled the foggy road. A deafening horn blasted as an 18-wheeler barreled down the road, tree still blocking the 2-lane road. The truck driver must have seen the tree blocking the road, but
"This can't be real. Michael Myers doesn't exist." Before she knew it, Kimmy's finger had dispensed a stream of pepper spray directly into the shape's face. He didn't move. He didn't flinch. Up he clunked his skull against something hard on the low ceiling. The rusted plumbing pipe. He and his dad were... Jeff grabbed onto the middle of a fat pipe and ripped at the part that ran beneath the floor of the home. Using all his strength, he grunted and pulled a long section loose. A hard stream of water burst into his eyes. Jeff screamed from the pain as he grasped the metal pipe in his hands. Michael Myers lunged forward, and Jeff closed his eyes and held out the piece of pipe, its edges sticking out in sharp shards of rusted metal. The weight and force of Michael Myers' own body caused the pipe to drive itself into the center of his chest. A blinding burst of blood and water sprayed hideously onto the floor. Another pipe broke loose and more water spurted out from the ceiling, flooding and pulling across the basement floor. Michael Myers struggled to break free from the pipe that had broken through his weakened ribs. "You should be dead!" Jeff screamed, his dry voice beginning to crack. He rammed the pipe further into Michael Myers' chest until it crunched all the way through his ribs and out his back. Jeff closed his eyes and pushed again, javelining the pipe completely through his body and up against the wall. Just as they reached it, a tremendous crashing noise broke the silence. A shadow suddenly loomed against the wall, and Michael Myers stumbled out of the darkness, the pipe still all the way through his body. Michael Myers grabbed the pipe with both rotting hands and yanked the metal rod out of his body. He held the long, heavy pipe on the ceiling. A loud hissing filled the air, and the smell of gas began to fill the crawl space. "He broke the gas line!" Green jack-o'-lantern ignited the leaking gas under the house. As Jeff and Mary stumbled away, an earth-shaking explosion knocked them to the ground. A hideous scream filled the air, and flames licked through the screen windows beneath the house. A burning hand reached out of the hole and writhed around. Then the fingers slowly closed and fell back into the darkness below. Beneath the trees, behind the house, away from the bright lights, Michael Myers pulled himself up off the ground. He steadied his raspy breathing and lurched away from the flashing sirens and crackling radios. His singed clothes crackled against his burnt skin. The white plastic mask had been melted onto his face in the explosion. He stumbled along, making his way through the woods, carrying himself away from the gathering crowd, but not too far.